Hello, everyone. So today I want to speak about bed death. As a relationship coach, I get a lot of couples, all right, even single people, who come to me and part of their issue in their relationship has been the lack of intimacy, sexual intimacy. And there's a lot of misconceptions about what that can really mean in a relationship or to a relationship. And I just want to clear a little bit of that up for people because it seems to be a topic that is very common for a lot of relationships. I can say most of the relationships that I coach that's definitely at the top of the list for a lot of them. And so it's very common. But I want to just clear up the misconception as I stated. Now, what is bed death? All right. Bed death is a terminology used for people or couples who have experienced a lack of sexual intimacy within their relationships. Sometimes it can go on for a week, 2 weeks, a month, sometimes even years. And this has kind of debilitated a lot of relationships. And might I add that it's not necessarily because of the need for it in a relationship. It's the stereotype around a relationship or what a relationship should be and the type of things that's vital to a relationship. I'm not here to discount and say that sexual intimacy is not important in a relationship. What I'm here to say is that sexual intimacy is important to those of which it's important to. All right? Now, you may look all on social media. You may see in groups and people saying, oh, I have sex X amount of times a day. I have sex all the time. My sex drive is high. I myself, being the founder of a Facebook group for relationships, and I even see older women, they can be 50 and 60 and they're saying how high their sex drive is and how they can put it down and all these things. And what I want to let you guys know is that most of that is BS, okay? And it's more common for couples to lose intimacy in a relationship than anything else, and it's because of that lack of intimacy that people tend to have the most problem with, only because it's expected that in order to have a healthy relationship, you shouldn't have any real sexual intimacy problems, right? You shouldn't be lacking it. A healthy relationship should be thriving sexually. And again, that is true for those who it's true for. But can I just shed a little light on that? Most of the couples that I have counseled or have coached in this particular area feel that their relationships were dwindling because of the lack of sex. But when I kind of got down to the nitty-gritty, the nuts and bolts of what sex meant to them, to each individual in the relationship, and how high on the scale was it for them, it turned out that it wasn't a high priority at all. The pressure to perform based on what a relationship should look like made the situation in their relationship very strenuous, okay? So it was the expectations that was holding them back from moving forward in a relationship in a healthy way. A lot of the couples that I have coached, some of them are older. Well, a lot of them are older women, and there's a lot of factors that go into a woman who's aging, over 30, over 40 years old, not 30, but mainly 40 years old and over. The sex drive goes, hormonal changes, things happen in relationships. And so, people just really get comfortable with not having sex in their relationship. And I can't say whether or not that is right or wrong. It's right or wrong for those, it depends on a person basis, Some people are all right not having that much intercourse in their relationships. It's not a high thing. It's not high on the list for them. All right. Now, if you're in a relationship with someone that absolutely need it, and can't thrive really without it, then perhaps you're in the wrong relationship. Sex does not determine a healthy relationship. I mean, let's face it. There are a number of things that can happen to a person that can debilitate them from in their efforts from having sex. And it can be a number of things. It can be an accident. It could be hormonal changes. It can be medication. It can be age. It can be something traumatic that happened to a person to where they're not able to perform. And if you were with a person that something major happened to that affected their ability to perform, then would you still be with that person? If the answer is no, then again, you're in the wrong relationship. All right. But my point that I'm trying to make here is that sex doesn't make or break a relationship. Sure, it adds excitement. Sure, it's needed for those who need it, but for those who find themselves functioning in a healthy way with, a not so great sex life, doesn't mean that the relationship is over. Sex cannot be the end. I mean, the lack of sex cannot be the end of a relationship, because even if you're together for 40 years with someone and you end up growing old with them, 60, 70 years old or 80 years old, sex is not part of your relationship anyway. Most couples who are in long-term relationships, and ask your grandparents this, or your parents, if they've been married, for more than 30 years, ask them when the last time they had sex, if you can be honest enough and open to ask them something like that, and they'll tell you, hello, that is not, that I can't remember the last time. And so what I'm saying is that don't put such a big emphasis on what's comfortable for you. Don't let outside influences, social media, because most social media is BS anyway. But don't let other people's braggadocious ways sway you into believing that in order to have a healthy relationship, it has to be a sexual one. I guess that'll be more true for the younger generations, people who are teenagers and in their 20s and just kind of bumping into walls everywhere they go because they're 20 dumb, And then you have a lot of older couples who have a very strong sex drive. And the single people that I have coached that have a high sex drive is usually because they're single. And of course the excitement of dating anyone new is going to bring on sexual feelings. You want to get laid, right? And you want to have that romance and that sexual experience that everybody's looking for. But it's very common for couples to experience bed death. And bed death in and of itself, that terminology puts such a negative stance on the whole thing to begin with. It indicates that something is wrong. And oftentimes things are not wrong. A lot of people don't have a high sex drive. And when you get a couple that's compatible with each other, even if they started out like rabbits, they end up not having that much of a sexual intimacy, but having so many other things that are fulfilling in their relationship, that's the glue to their relationship will thrive. If a person can get past the superficial things that don't make a relationship, you'll have a longer lasting, healthier relationship. All right. Now, as I stated, if you're the type of person that needs sexual intimacy often, there's nothing wrong with that. But it might be good that you find someone that has that same, drive as well, but sex doesn't always last in a relationship. There are so many things that can hinder that. And you have to be willing to look past that. When you're getting in a relationship, you have to be willing to be okay with that. If that's okay with you, but the pressure of sexual intimacy alone will make a relationship, or make you think your relationship is failing, when you see everyone else around you having it except for you, when the truth is everyone else around you is not having it, including you. Okay? It's more common if people can be a lot more honest with themselves, a lot more honest. And this goes especially for older people. There's no such thing as bed death. It's just compatibility. I know plenty of older couples who thrive in a healthy way. And, they barely have sex. They have so much more in common that's more fulfilling, and that's just the way it is. So my message to you today is, don't get all messed up with the social media and the fakery of social media and those phantom relationships. Yes, there are plenty of relationships that thrive off of really good intimacy often, and there are relationships that thrive where the couples are not actually having that particular type of intimacy, but having intimacy in other ways. They're compatible, far more compatible in other areas of their life, which appear to be more fulfilling. It's the thought of it being a specific, rule that sex once a week is needed in order to have a healthy relationship, or sex at least is once a month is needed to have a sexual relation, to have a healthy relationship. No, it's not. It's absolutely not. To each his own. To each his own. A lot of couples come to me where they were thriving sexually in the beginning, and then after maybe a year or two, and they're together 5 and 6 and 7, 8, 10 years, they're no longer having sex, and they feel like the person is uninterested, or there's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with them. And that is not usually the case. And every time that I have gotten to the core of their issues or their insecurities, it has never lied with sex. It's always been in the expectation of what a healthy relationship really looked like to the world. And it's about measuring up, putting you in a box, as if you're not doing something this way, then it's not happening. We have been going through that forever, living by the expectations of others. Comparison is a thief of joy. Don't ever do it. Do what's right for you. If your partner is okay with the lack of intimacy, and you're okay with the lack of intimacy, and you both are being very open and honest about that, then you have a healthy relationship. You have a healthy relationship. It doesn't have to depend on sex. There's so many other moving parts of a relationship. All right. So I hope this helps some people in clearing up the misconception that sex is a catalyst to a healthy, long-lasting relationship, because it's not. See you in my next video. Bye.